Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I hate about the zodiac sign Aries, and yes, it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, the first thing that I really hate about the zodiac sign Aries is that they could be very volatile. This is a sign that's very acerbic. They are ruled by Mars, and the thing about this is that they could be really, as far as road rage incidents goes, I would see Aries being number one on the list of all the zodiac signs. Former NFL player Bill Romanowski, he has his sun in Aries, and many of you may know he was notorious for getting into battles with other NFL players. He had a very fiery temperament, and that would probably be a vast understatement. And another thing which I really hate about the zodiac sign Aries is that they are very overly outspoken. And I understand a lot of times it's just because they want to speak the veritable truth. They want to be direct and forthright, and they like to follow the motto of saying things, as far as saying things to someone's face as opposed to saying it behind their back. But sometimes they're just outspoken for the sake of being outspoken. I think sometimes it's just like they feel this need to say something about somebody, and they're not really worried about repercussions or it might hurt someone's feelings. That's why, obviously Aries and Cancer are generally incompatible. They are square by sign, as many of you may know, and really this is part of the reason, because they generally don't have much as far as that compassion for someone's feelings. They generally do not have that, and they say something first, they might think about it later on and have their regrets in some cases. But anyway, another thing too about Aries that I hate is that they could be super impatient, which of course can leave a lot of projects unfinished. They don't have generally that tenacity, the persistence and patience as, say, Taurus. So Taurus is the sign which can often, I think, finish the projects that Aries starts, actually. And also impetuous and impatient even, behavior, this could often lead to car accidents, such as shifting into a lane and crashing into another car, thinking that they got enough time to get in the lane before the other car gets over there, and consequently they may wind up getting hit. And anyway, another thing about Aries is that I hate is that the fact that they are very combative and very argumentative. This is a sign sometimes, I think, that's disputatious just for the sake of having an argument, and just the sake of really trying to combat something that somebody else says. And I don't know his time of birth, because the last time I checked it wasn't available online. But former NBA player Charles Barkley, he was notorious for getting into combative situations with other NBA players. It would not surprise me if he has an Aries ascendant. And he was just like, he had a very kind of fearless attitude on the court, and he really, he didn't seem like he was afraid to mix it up with anybody. And anyway, another thing about Aries too that I hate is the fact that they are just very easily provoked. And a lot of times it could just be due to an unintentional slight. I had a Sun in Aries friend, which I would make a comment that was just, it was just a generic or general comment a number of times, and he would take it to heart, and he would start spouting off derogatory things about me and saying, well, you this and that and that, and he got really upset, and he thought I was making like maybe an indirect or some subtle reference to him. And there's just the thing about Aries is that it's almost like a lot of times they're just looking at the fact, they're looking at a statement. If it's somewhat ambiguous, they're deciding to interpret it as something that was pertaining to them, where if, in other words, if it was a statement that might have been just a general statement, or one which was more directed toward them, they're a lot of times it seems like they'll take it like they'll construe it like, oh, this had to be directed toward me. He or she was just trying to make it sound like a general statement, but that person was making a reference toward me. It's almost like an excuse for them to go off on someone and just start kind of their little tirade, so to speak. And Aries, of course, notorious for having that temper, and it just really, it doesn't take much to incite a problem with them. In many instances, it's when you're not even, you really don't feel like you did anything to really deserve it. So also, the thing that I actually can despise about Aries is the fact that they loathe weakness in others, and their perception of weakness could be somebody, well, that just might seem like weak-willed, or a person that might not always stand up for his or herself, or doesn't express maybe that same courage or fortitude that they do. And the thing is that Aries has to understand that, okay, restraint can be, someone that shows restraint can be strong in their own way. That could actually be a strength and an asset as well. You don't always have to mix it up with somebody in order to be a strong person. I mean, people can still have willpower and show it in different ways and different aspects in life. So anyway, well, another thing that I don't really detest about the zodiac sign Aries is just their general abruptness, and sometimes it can equate to rudeness. I had a friend of mine as the sun in Aries, and I remember one time he knocked on my door, and he basically said, he said, "Can I come in?" as he was actually walking into the room. Now, I think he was really being facetious, but still, you understand what I'm saying. This same person wound up, he had the audacity to tell me, he was going, making that motion for me to be quiet in my own home when we were watching a boxing match. Imagine that, and Aries watching something combative. I mean, wow, what a remarkable coincidence, you're thinking, right? No, but seriously, and he told me that I needed, he wanted me to be quiet while I was watching the boxing match with him. And really, that's really how Aries can be sometimes. And I know a lot of times they don't feel like they're being malicious, but it's the fact they could be very audacious to the point where it could actually wind up hurting someone, or whether it hurt their feelings, or it might be just very offensive to a person. And another thing too about the sign, I mean, one of their greatest assets can sometimes be one of their weakest points, and it's something that I hate about them at times, because and what I'm going to say is that they are very excessively aggressive. Now, this could be positive and beneficial, say, if you're like trying to apply for a job, or you're trying to show someone you have the credentials to do this task or do this job properly, and you're trying to do something that's going to be beneficial to yourself ultimately, and you're really helping yourself out, and you're not hurting anybody else in the process. But I mean, but sometimes that aggressiveness can be negative too. An example, let's say you're at a store or something, and you have an Aries, trying to run to the front. They might see someone coming and it's going to get to the front of the line at the checkout, and they might see that person is getting there real close, and they might just hurry up and try to run and just beat that person out to the front of the checkout. Now, I understand there may not be anything unlawful about that, but if somebody else is just about to hit that front spot of the checkout and you just hurry up and just blaze right in front of them, well, I don't know if that's always necessarily the right thing to do. So especially if you see somebody that's really almost at the front of that line. So anyway, people, well, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for what I hate about the zodiac sign Aries, and stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about what I hate about the zodiac sign Taurus. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel, and secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person astrologically speaking based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.